That's looking promising. I'm live. Hurrah. Well, yay. I always feel a weird sense of achievement when I've managed to go live. Hello, hello. Whew, as always, feel free to jump into the comments to let me know where you are, what you're up to today. But if you're in the midst of getting set up and getting organized, no pressure. Get set up, get organized. Most important prop for today will be a strap or a scarf or a belt that you already have looped hips width apart. That's the only sort of non negotiable prop. Well, I mean, they're all negotiable, but that's the most important prop. And in terms of others, we'll do a little tiny bit of kneeling work. So you might have a blanket or a towel for padding. We'll do a stretch at the end. Might be nice to have a block that you can sit on, or in fact, we'll use the block for Shavasana. So if you don't have a block, grab a towel or something that you'll be able to fold up to create a similar sort of wedge shape, even if you don't plan to sit on it for the stretch. And then I'm going to use my bolster behind the backs of my knees for Shavasana, but you could roll up the bottom of your mat. So definitely a strap, perhaps a block or something that you can use as a substitute that's a little bit forgiving. So a folded up towel or blanket, maybe a bolster or a large cushion if you have one. And then that's it. We're pretty good to go. My exciting news for the day is that on the back side of my house, this side, there is a mama bird who has created a nest in the midst of my partner's ladders. And she's either got eggs or nestlings in there now. I'm not sure which because I haven't been game to go too close. So we've been unable to move any of the ladders or put new ones away or take the existing ones out in case we disturb her. And even though we are in the fully fledged season of spring here, we can't mow because we can't go past her to get our lawnmower out of our shed. So I think my partner's actually secretly, not that secretly, happy to have an excuse not to have to mow the lawn because she seems very flighty. We've scared her away a couple of times and we were worried that she wouldn't come back. So we're giving her lots of space so that she can do her thing. You know, nature is hard enough. And today's practice will be about 75 minutes long. So a little longer than just 60. So there's a bit more time to kind of explore some concepts, time to settle in, time to finish off properly. And I'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully, you are all feeling the lead up to the end of the year in a positive way. I always get this sense of the pace of life accelerating at this time of year. It kind of hits a fever pitch in December. And then, at least for me in the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas and New Year's, super chilled, quiet. No, lots of people are off work. Lots of people are on holidays, some traveling, some of us just staying put. And it's a super chill time of year. So I just have to kind of get there and then I'll get to relax and enjoy myself. Right. Couple more minutes, but I might actually get started since there's not too many of you here. I'll get started. And as always, the chat feature is there, but I won't be checking it through the course of class. So if questions come up, just answer them to your own satisfaction through the course of class. And then feel free to put something in the chat at the end. I will come back and check and be willing to have a chat, be ready to have a chat for anyone who's keen. But I understand that often you've got other things that you want to do, or you might be snuggled up in Shavasana and not want to move. So no pressure either way, but we'll get started. Some carpet fluff off my knees. Hi, I'm Rachel Land. Welcome to Yoga Medicine Online and welcome to your practice. In today's practice, we are exploring a couple of opposites, freedom and spaciousness, and restriction or constriction. And I'm hoping to give you an experience that suggests that when we restrict some aspect of ourselves, we actually create the freedom for other aspects of ourselves to be better expressed. So, a prop will be important for today's practice, and that is a strap or a scarf or a belt in a loop that's about hips width apart. And we'll keep that loop throughout. So, if you're using a scarf and you tie a knot in it, know that you don't have to untie it partway through. Have that within arm's reach. You might also want to block either under your seat in stretches. We might use it as a prop in Shavasana. So if you don't have a block, it would pay to grab a blanket or a towel that you can fold up or roll up as a substitute. I'll be using my bolster for Shavasana. If you don't have a bolster or a large cushion, you'll be able to roll up the bottom part of your mat. And the blanket is there to remind me that we will do a tiny bit of kneeling. So if you're on a firmer floor or you've got more sensitive knees, you could have a blanket to create some padding under your knees. That's it. Make sure you can reach your strap or belt. Come down to lie on your back, get comfortable. Take any shape that suits you. Let the back of your body lean into the floor. And take a moment to truly arrive for both body and mind to arrive on your mat and in your practice so that you're kind of priming yourself to pay attention. And we'll start that practice of deliberate observation straight away by tuning into the breath. So as you settle in here, feel yourself breathe in, feel yourself breathe out. And rather than automatically shifting into a deep, slow breath, see if you can encourage the breath to move just gently, naturally, gradually, so that it's not your deepest possible expression. You're just aware to the experience of you breathing in and expanding in some part of the torso, and then breathing out and feeling some part of your torso rebound back towards center. So that straight away there's this really easy give and take between expansion and contraction. And at least to start with, you're not interfering. You're not trying to regulate it so that your breath is moving in your belly or your side ribs or your chest. You're just letting it arrive and letting it depart. And that in itself can be a really interesting practice for those of us who are conditioned to have a yogic breath when on the yoga mat. And in fact, at times through this sequence, I'll be offering you the option of breathing in as you do one shape and breathing out as you do another. But the odds of the timing that I'm suggesting coinciding perfectly with your breath are pretty slim. So feel free to ignore that instruction and simply move and breathe without forcing the two to coincide. Now, take another couple of breaths here to kind of move into that pattern of simply allowing the breath to unfold. And if your legs are outstretched, start to bend up through your knees, walk your feet in towards your sit bones, and then curl your knees in toward your torso and reach down with your hands to catch hold. Now, sometimes it feels good to hug the knees in really close toward each other, really close toward the chest. Sometimes it feels better to hold the knees separately and circle through the thigh bones or rock the hips from side to side. So find a version that works for your body today, but do notice that some regions of the body are now feeling a little more compressed, while others are able to spread out or stretch out. And see if you can just notice those two experiences without attaching value to them, without one option being better than the other. Now, keep your left knee bent, but release your left foot onto the floor. Grab your strap or scarf or belt. Hook the ball of your right foot into that loop. And then find an easy stretch, a gentle stretch for the back of your right leg. And that might require you to flex a little through the toes or spread through your toes. Maybe to straighten out fully through the right leg or straighten out through the left leg. It could require you to draw your right toes closer to the air above your right ear or shoulder. Or it might require none of those things. And give yourself just a couple of your relaxed breaths here to notice that those regions have now changed, that some of the places that were feeling spacious now feel a little less so. Some of the regions that were being restricted or compressed now also feel a little less so. And because that experience is going to continue to shift and change, ebb and flow right through the course of practice, I think it helps right from the outset to simply become an observer to them. Now, if you lengthen out through your left leg, bend up through the left knee, take your strap into your right hand and your left knee into your left hand, and then let your two legs drift away from each other so that they open out wide. Notice that the emphasis of the sensation has changed. There are new spaces that are stretching out and opening up, new regions that are feeling a little less roomy. And that those places might even shift and change as your body adapts. Now take one more relaxed breath in here, and as you breathe out, gather in through the midsection of the body, put a little micro bend in that right knee, draw the legs back toward each other, keep your left knee bent, release your left foot down onto the mat, and then swap your strap into your left hand and cross your inner thighs over so that your bent left knee is now drifting toward your right, and your extended right leg is now moving across the midline of the body toward your left. And again, notice how the spaces that you feel stretching or lengthening, that line of tension has now shifted, and the spaces that feel a little more closed off have shifted too. I'll take a final easy breath there. Draw your right leg back to center, bending your knee enough that your ankle can stack directly over your right hip. And then bring your left foot up into that loop of the strap and resist your feet away from each other until you pull it taut, almost as if you're trying to make the circle bigger. Relax your arms, either down by your sides or out wide or overhead. Maintain that outward pressure on the strap. Notice the new sensations that arise. And then move both legs ever so slightly toward the right without rocking off your left hip. Maintain outward pressure on the strap and circle your feet away from you, just a short distance away from your torso toward the foot of your mat. Keep circling until the legs move just a short distance toward your left. Keep the right side of the sacrum grounded. And then draw your feet back over to stack above your hip joints. Now we'll do two more circles in the same direction, resisting out against the restriction of the strap, noticing what sensations arise when you do that, as well as how the sensations shift as the position of your legs shifts, even though it's pretty subtle. Finish by bringing your feet back up to stack above your hips. Keep your left foot in the strap. Bend down through your right knee. Release your right foot onto the floor. And we'll do the same practice on the second side, starting off with a gentle stretch that runs down the back of your left leg. And you can fine tune your position to find that sensation. But see if you can keep a little bit of space, a little gap between your experience and your response or reaction to it. So that in that space, there's room for curiosity as opposed to you deciding that one sensation's good, one sensation's bad. You're approaching it a little bit more like an explorer. Now, if you stretched out through your right leg, bend back up through your right knee. Shift your strap or belt into your left hand. Lift your right foot to bring your right knee into your right hand, and then allow your two legs to drift apart, to open out wide, and the emphasis of that sensation to shift. New areas opening up to space and expansion, and new regions of compression. Take a final easy breath in here. And as you breathe out, gather in through the midline of the body. Microbend your left knee. Draw your legs back towards each other. Right knee stays bent. Your right foot comes down onto the mat. Shift your strap into your right hand. Relax your left. And then let your inner thighs cross over each other so that your bent left knee, bent right knee leans toward the left. And your extended left leg moves across the body toward the right. A whole new series of sensations to get curious about. Not better, not worse, just different. Take a final relaxed cycle of breath here. And then draw your left leg back to center. Soften your left knee enough that you can stack your foot above your hip joint. Draw your right knee in towards you and then bring your right foot into the strap. Same as you did on the first side or the first time through. Resist your feet out against the strap as if you were trying to stretch it or even tear it. Notice which parts of you now turn on and engage, where there's a sense of openness or space, where there's a sense of compression. Relax your arms down by your sides, out wide, overhead, your choice. Gather in gently through the midsection of the body. And this time, move both legs ever so slightly toward the left, keeping the right side of the sacrum grounded. Circle your feet away from your torso, just a short distance, but far enough that you could feel the sensations change. Circle your feet toward the right, keeping the left side of the sacrum grounded. And then bring your feet back up to stack above your hip joint. Now keep that outward push against the restriction of the strap and do two more circuits in this direction. Curious to the parts of you that feel restrained and the parts that still feel free and spacious. And they definitely speak with quieter voices, but they're there if you look for them. Last circuit. Finish by bringing your feet back up to stack above your hips. Release that outward push against the strap. Take a big bend down through your knees. You can release your strap and pop it off to one side. And then for a breath or two, give yourself a gentle hug or a rock from side to side, noticing once again how a catalog of sensations changes. Keep your knees bent, plant your feet on the floor, feet and knees tracking about your hips width apart, heels fairly close to your backside, arms relaxed anywhere you like. And then drive down through your feet and peel up your sacrum and buttocks, low back, maybe your middle back, maybe your upper back. Find your way to a version of bridge that you can linger in for a breath, lengthening your sit bones toward the backs of your knees to create a little more room over the fronts of your hips. And then take your time rippling your spine and hips back down to the mat. And again, we'll do that two more times so you can choose your own pace, maintaining that same kind of spacious sense of curiosity, almost as if you're an observer in this body for the first time. And rather than thinking of the poses by name, rather than listing off the cues and alignment that you feel you should follow, just get curious about how the sensations ripple from one region of the body to another, from one kind of sensation to another, leaving room for curiosity by trying to leave out judgment. The next time your hips lower to the mat, you can keep them there. Draw your knees back in toward you for one more hug or squeeze, rock or circle. Maybe it feels good to reach through between your knees and catch hold of your shins or your ankles or your feet, letting the knees fall apart or open out wide. And then from here, we'll make our way all the way up and over to downward facing dog. So you could do that by rolling to one side and pressing up. You could catch the backs of your knees and rock and roll up the length of the spine, maybe a couple of times if that feels nice. And then, one way or another, you'll make your way through an upright seat. To sweep your legs around behind you, plant your palms toward the front of the mat and your feet toward the back of the mat. And then lift your knees and hips to stretch back to downward facing dog. Now, you've got a couple of breaths there, so you might spend that time strolling out through your feet, bending up through one knee to get into the roots of the toes, stretching down through the opposite heel. You might prefer to soften your knees and keep your lower body steady as you give your head a little nod or sway and soften up tissues either side of the neck. Maybe you keep the whole body steady and still and focus on the much more subtle movement of the breath, those spaces that are expanding and condensing without effort or interference from you. Notice anything new that comes up with that same sense of really spacious curiosity, open mindedness. And then when you're ready, sweep your right leg up and back. Notice how that brings up new sensations. Bend your right knee, take a big step forward, right foot toward right wrist. We're going to lower the back left knee anyway. So if your right foot didn't come as far forward as you wanted, you can use your hands to help it forward. You could tuck your back toes or point your back toes. You could pad your back knee with a blanket or towel if you like. And then hug your legs toward the midline, kind of like plugging your thigh bones slightly deeper into their sockets. And then float your arms up toward the ceiling. You got the right leg in front, so cross your right wrist behind your left. Turn your palms to face each other. Press your palms into each other and then reach your fingertips up toward the ceiling and over toward your right. Notice the new sensations that ripple through you here. Which spaces feel open, roomy, stretched out? And which parts of you feel a little more constrained or restricted? See if you can notice both of those without kind of setting one on a hierarchy as being superior or inferior. Now take a final gentle breath. And then release your hands, fold forward to plant your palms shoulder width, a little in front of your right foot. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, and power up that left leg. Push the floor away to scoop a little through your belly and to hug your shoulder blades against your side ribs. And then step or slide or drag the right foot back to cross over the left. So you're crossing your ankles with your little toe edges squeezing against each other and your inner thighs and perhaps your outer hips turned on. Shift forward to your tiptoes, bend your elbows just a little, and then push the floor away to straighten your arms. Keep your legs crossed in this cross legged plank, and then send your hip creases up and back for a cross legged downward facing dog. Take a moment here to notice how the weight of the right leg changes the sensations for the back of the left. And then uncross your legs, a regular downward facing dog. Take a relaxed breath in. Exhale it out. Let's try the second side. Inhale to sweep your left leg up and back. And as you breathe out, bend your left knee. Take a big step forward, left foot toward left wrist. Lower the back right knee. You can reposition the left foot or pad that back right knee. Tuck or point the toes as you like. And then hug your hips a little deeper into your sockets. Get light on your hands. And then float your arms. This time, it's the left wrist behind the right. Left wrist behind right, turn your palms to each other, press them into and against each other, creating that little bit of restriction for the upper body. Fingertips reach up and then over toward your left. Now, here's the interesting thing. We imagine our bodies to be symmetrical. So if we do the same pose on two sides, those same regions will feel spacious, right? Or the same regions will feel compressed or constricted, right? But in the real world, often there are differences between the two sides, and the experience is not identical. So little leave a little room for those kinds of surprises. And then release your arms. Plant your palms. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, powerful through the right leg, core, chest, and shoulders. And then step or slide or drag the left foot back to cross over the right. Cross legged plank with the legs really squeezing into and almost against each other. Notice that sense of restriction through the legs, but it might even make you feel stronger as you shift forward to your right tiptoes. Bend your elbows a little for a push up. Drive your arms back up to straight, and then hinge at your hips for a cross legged downward facing dog. This time with the weight of the left leg, changing up the sensations that you experience in the right. Uncross your legs, plant both feet. And we're going to add that cross legged plank into our flow. So as you next breathe in, rise up to tiptoes. Breathe out to walk forward, feet to the front of the mat. Inhale to lift up halfway, glide your shoulder blades back and down. Exhale to curl forward, knees soft enough that you can compress your legs with your torso. Push down through your feet to rebound up to standing. Inhale, arms above your head. And then exhale to bring your hands to prayer, thumbs at your heart. Take an easy breath here, not your slowest, not your deepest. And relax it out. We're going to build a flow from here. Inhale to stretch your arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees, bring your hands to prayer, chair. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Inhale to step the ball of the left foot back, arms come up to crescent lunge. Exhale to keep the legs hinge forward at your hips, arms down by your sides, arrowhead. Push down to lift back up. Inhale to crescent. And then turn your back toes out, open to the left, and exhale to warrior two. Flip your front palm, reach the front arm overhead, breathe into reverse warrior. Keep the legs, breathe out to come halfway forward, right forearm brushes right thigh, extended side angle. Breathe in to come back up to reverse warrior. And then breathe out to cartwheel your hands to the mat. Lift that back left heel. Here's our cross-legged plank. Inhale as you lock the right leg over and behind the left. Exhale to shift forward, bend your elbows a little or a lot if you're feeling frisky. Inhale to straighten your arms, cross-legged plank. Exhale to hinge at your hips, cross-legged downward facing dog. Inhale to uncross the feet, regular down dog. And exhale here. Let's try that out on the second side. Inhale, tiptoes. Exhale, feet toward the front of the mat. Inhale to rise halfway. Exhale to fold forward and compress the front of the body. Inhale to rebound up tall, arms reach. And exhale, hands to center. Relaxed breath in. And easy breath out. Second side. Inhale, arms reach. Bend your knees. Exhale to chair. Weight to your left foot. Ball of the right foot back. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale to lean halfway forward, arrowhead. Inhale to lift back up to crescent. Exhale to turn the back toes out, plant the back heel, warrior two. Inhale to reverse warrior, what new spaces open up. Exhale halfway forward, extended side angle. Inhale back up to reverse warrior. Exhale to cartwheel your hands to the mat. You're onto the ball of the right foot. Inhale, cross-legged plank. Left leg locks over right. Exhale, cross-legged chaturanga or some version of a push-up. Inhale to straighten through your arms, squeeze through your legs. Exhale to lift your sit bones, cross-legged down dog. Inhale, regular down dog. And exhale out. Let's do that flow again. Inhale to lift your heels high. Exhale to walk forward. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to curl forward. Tuck in. Inhale to rebound tall. Exhale, hands to prayer. Easy breath in, not your fullest, not your deepest. And relax breath out. Right leg, inhale, arms up. Bend your knees, exhale, chair. Weight shifts to your right foot. Left foot back, inhale, crescent lunge. Tip forward, exhale, arrowhead. Inhale up to crescent lunge. Exhale to open out, warrior two. Flip the right palm, inhale to reach through the right side, reverse. Exhale halfway forward, side angle. Back up to reverse. Breathe in. Breathe out, hands to the mat. Come onto the ball of that back left foot. Cross-legged plank. Breathe in as you squeeze. Breathe out for your push-up. Breathe in to straighten the arms, squeeze through the legs. Breathe out, cross-legged down dog. Inhale to step the feet hips width apart. And exhale one more time, second side. Inhale to lift your heels high. Exhale, step forward. Inhale to halfway. Can you feel how the space and compression shift? Exhale to coil forward. Inhale to rise and reach. Exhale, hands to center. Easy breath in. And relaxed breath out. Last time through, left foot leading, or at least in this form. Inhale, arms up. Bend your knees. Exhale, chair. Weight to your left foot. Right foot back. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, halfway forward, arrowhead. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale to spin and open to the right, warrior two. Inhale to reach through the left fingertips, reverse. Exhale halfway forward, extended side angle. Inhale up to reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the mat, ball of that back right foot. Cross-legged plank, breathe in, squeeze. And breathe out to shift forward, bend your elbows. Breathe in to push the floor away, arms straight. And breathe out to shift back, cross-legged down dog. Breathe in, feet hips width apart. And breathe out. We're going to build on that base, go a little slower. Inhale, high to tiptoes. Exhale, step forward. Inhale to halfway. Exhale to tuck in close. Inhale to drive tall. Exhale, hands to prayer. Feel yourself breathe in. And feel yourself breathe out. Now, same base flow. Inhale to take your arms up. Exhale to bend your knees to chair, and here we stay. Inhale to open your arms out wide to a cactus, and then shift your weight onto your right foot. Get light on your left. We're going to cross the left leg over the right, so maybe the left tiptoes stay on the floor, or maybe you squeeze the outsides of the calves against each other, or maybe your proportions work so that you can tuck the top of the left foot behind the back of the right calf. But whatever bind you have, squeeze down through that left knee to create a really noticeable sense of compression. And then we'll add the arms, left elbow under right, left elbow under right. Maybe you're holding the outsides of the shoulders and driving that right elbow down, left elbow up. Maybe you're working the backs of the hands towards each other, or perhaps your left hand catches your right thumb. But either way, lift your elbows up to shoulder height and find that very deliberate constriction between them. And notice that the more you drive down through the right elbow and up through the left, the more space you create elsewhere. Take a final smooth and steady breath in. Breath out. Keep the arms, unwrap the legs, step the ball of the left leg back behind you, and then lift your torso and your arms, crescent lunge, eagle arms. Maybe in this orientation, you could even lift your elbows above shoulder height. Your gaze soft and kind of unfocused, somewhere around your elbows or between your forearms. And then in slow motion, release your arms. Feel how that constriction rebounds with a renewed sense of space as you take your hands behind you and clasp your fingers. Now, squeeze your shoulder blades back towards each other and down towards your waist. And notice how the regions that were closed off or shut off are now rebounding with space. And the areas that were spacious or stretched or open are now engaging. Keep that back and down shrug of your shoulders. Keep the lower body and then tip forward at your hips, some version of humble warrior. See if you can even bring the right side of the torso or abdomen in contact with the right thigh. Keep your shoulder blades squeezing back, but maybe drop your head, relax your neck, and take your gaze to your back left toes. Now look at your front toes, your right big toe push down to rebound up through your torso. Release your arms, take them up toward the ceiling. And then turn your back toes out, plant your heel, and expand out into warrior two. Take a moment here to feel the rebound of space where there was restriction, and perhaps some new regions that feel as if they're a little less spacious or more contained. Reverse warrior, reach the right arm up toward the ceiling. Feel the pattern shift and change once again. And then tip halfway forward, right forearm grazing right thigh. Left arm is going to stretch straight up above you toward the ceiling. Flip your palm toward the wall behind you, and then sweep your left arm behind your back of the hand toward the right side of the sacrum. Maybe you can tuck your fingers, kind of wiggle your pinky finger into your hip crease. Or maybe your proportions allow you to sneak the fingertips all the way through to the inner seam of the leg. Bring your right hand to prayer, right hand to heart, and notice how the sensations have changed. Where is there now a sense of restriction? But where is there now a corresponding sense of space? Can't have one without the other. Now, option one, stay here. Option two, keep your half bind. Take your gaze to the floor in front of your right tiptoes. Pop up onto the tiptoes of the left foot, and then step or hop or slide the left foot closer until either you're just floating on the tiptoes, or maybe you could pick up that left leg. The chest is still spinning toward the left long edge of the mat as the left shoulder blade glides back behind you. Half moon, but perhaps not as you've experienced it before. Some spaces shut off, closed down, but some a little more roomy and expansive. Now put a deep bend in the right knee, step the left foot back down to the mat if you lifted it, rebound back up to reverse warrior, unwind that left arm, notice the sensations that result, and then cartwheel your hands to the mat, pivot onto the ball of the back left foot. Inhale to your cross-legged plank. Exhale to shift forward, push up. Inhale to straighten your arms. And as you exhale, send your hip creases up and back. Inhale to step your feet apart. Notice what changes. And exhale. Second side, inhale, tiptoes. Exhale to step forward, feet to hands. Inhale to lift halfway. And exhale to coil in close. Inhale to drive tall, front body rebounds. Exhale, hands to prayer, somewhat neutral. That relaxed breath in. And easy breath out. Same thing, second side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, chair. Hold it here. Take your elbows out wide, a cactus shape. Shift your weight onto your left foot and then find a wrap with the right leg, whatever your eagle legs look like today. See if you can squeeze the legs against and into each other, really driving that right knee down against the resistance of the left knee. Once you've got your legs, wrap your arms, right elbow under left, right elbow under left. Maybe you've got your hands clasping your shoulders. Maybe there's some other hand variation, but lift your elbows up and then create that constriction again. Left elbow pushes down, as the right elbow resists up. And it's almost as if the more of a bind you create there, the more space you feel in other regions, maybe around the outsides of the shoulders or between your shoulder blades. Keep the arms, unwind your right leg in slow motion, step the ball of the right foot back behind you, hug your hips into the midline to create a stable base, and then lift your eagle arms a little higher. What changes as you change just the tiniest little angle in your shoulders? Release your arms. Feel the rebound of life and circulation to fill those spaces. Take your hands behind you and interlace with the opposite index finger and thumb on top, the weird way, and then work your shoulder blades way back and way down to puff up your chest. See if you can keep that back and down glide through the shoulders. And then hinge forward at your hips, creating a little contact between the left side of your abdomen and your left thigh. Maybe you could even drop your head, relax your neck, and take your gaze through those toes on the back right foot. Look at the left big toe, drive down to rebound back up. Release your arms, stretch them toward the ceiling, and then spin open toward the right long edge of the mat for warrior two. Notice the rebound, space where there was none, and perhaps a little more tension or restriction where there was freedom before. Reach your left fingertips toward the ceiling, reverse warrior. Keep a little of that length through the left side body as you tip halfway forward, extended side angle. Right arm up toward the ceiling. Flip your palm toward the wall behind you and then snake that right hand behind your back, maybe toward the left side of the sacrum. Maybe you're wedging your pinky finger into your hip crease. Maybe you can even catch the inner seam of that left leg. Notice how it helps you to roll the right shoulder blade back toward the spine to kind of brighten up the right side of the chest. Left hand comes to heart center. Keep the spin of your chest toward the long edge of the mat. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you shift your gaze toward the floor in front of you and step or hop or glide that right foot closer, maybe even close enough to float the right foot. Notice, where is there expansiveness and where is there restriction? And can you still notice those two without telling yourself a story about them? Deep bend in your left knee. Step your right foot back down if you lifted it. Release your bind. Sweep up to reverse. And then finish it off. Exhale to cartwheel your palms to the mat. Inhale, cross-legged plank. Left leg locks on top. Exhale, little push-up. Inhale to straighten out through your arms. Exhale to stretch back, cross-legged down dog. Right heel heavy. Inhale, regular down dog. And exhale. We're going to speed up the first part and add on. Inhale to tiptoes. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rebound tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Relaxed breath in. And easy breath out. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, chair. Weight to your right foot. Inhale, left leg over. Eagle legs, cactus arms. Exhale, left elbow under. Eagle arms. Step the left foot back. Keep the eagle arms. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, hands behind the back. Squeeze your shoulder blades back and down. Exhale to hinge forward, humble warrior. And inhale to drive back up, arms to the ceiling. Exhale to open, warrior two. Half bind, left arm behind the back. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, extended side angle, right hand to prayer. Exhale, option to shift forward, half moon variation. Take a breath in there, turn your chest. A breath out to step back with control. Inhale up to reverse warrior. Here's our addition. And exhale, warrior two, bring your hands to prayer. Look at the front of the mat, pivot up onto the ball of that back left foot. And then tip your torso halfway forward, power up the back leg. Gather in around your waist and then add a twist toward your right, left elbow in contact with your right knee. Take a moment to really feel the strength in that contact, pushing down through the left elbow to find the strength of the right leg. And then put a deep bend in your back left knee and step your left knee forward just behind your right heel. So it's a low lunge, but it's a super weird low lunge. I'm going to turn to face you so that hopefully it's slightly less confusing on a bit of a tightrope. So balance might be enough of a challenge here that you stay. Whoops. Otherwise, you can straighten out through your arms, tip off your feet onto your two hands. So your left elbow is in contact with your right knee. You're going to bend your right elbow and bring that in contact with your hip. Maybe this is a weird enough shape that you want to stay here, noticing the spaces that are open and roomy and the spaces that are not. Or maybe you push off your feet to see if you can find a tipping point to float the feet and hover the head. So a weird kind of version of side crow. And whatever shape you made your way to, ease your way back out, back through that strange fallen twist. Walk your hands to the front of the mat, plant your palms, step the ball of your left foot back, and this should be familiar territory, cross-legged plank. Exhale to bend your elbows. Inhale to straighten your arms. Exhale, cross-legged down dog. And inhale to separate your feet. Take a relaxed breath in. What's changing? An easy breath out, heading to the second side. Inhale, heels high. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale to curl forward. Inhale to drive tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Easy breath in. Easy breath out. Left foot forward this time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, chair, heavy on the left foot. Inhale, right leg over, cactus arms. Exhale, right elbow under, eagle legs, eagle arms. Keep the arms. Step the right foot back. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, circle your hands to clasp behind your back. Inhale to puff up the chest. Exhale, humbly bow. Push down, rebound up. Inhale, crescent, arms release. Exhale to land an open warrior two. Inhale to reverse, snake that right arm back behind you. Exhale, side angle, half bind. Inhale, left hand to prayer. Exhale, option to shift forward, half moon. Take a breath in. Where are you spacious? Where are you constricted? Bend the knee, step back softly as you breathe out. Release the bind, inhale up to reverse. Here's our addition. Exhale, warrior two, hands to prayer. Look forward, pivot into crescent, square your chest and hips to the front of the mat, and then tip your torso forward. Gather in around your waist and then spin into a twist toward your left, a sturdy connection between right elbow and left knee. Now, maybe this is you noticing where you have space and where you don't. Or maybe you create so much strength between the right elbow and left knee that you can bend the right knee and step the knee forward to the floor just beside or just behind that left heel. Now, this might be odd enough that you stay. I'm going to move over just a little. Or maybe you straighten out your arms and then fall out of your lunge and onto your hands. Right elbow is in contact with left knee. Bend your left elbow and hug it into center. Wrap it into center so that it contacts your left hip. Push off your feet. Shift your center of gravity far enough forward that maybe you can pick up your feet. Noticing where you feel spacious and open, where you feel constricted or constrained. And then from whatever shape you've made your way to, ease back into that close lunge. Walk your hands to plant at the front of the mat. Step your right foot back. Inhale, cross-legged plank, lock the feet. Exhale, bend your elbows. Inhale to straighten your arms. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale to step your feet apart. Take a last relaxed exhalation here. And then slowly lower your knees. And curl back into child's pose or another comfortable resting shape. If you're in child's pose, you could have your arms overhead, your elbows resting on the floor, maybe your elbows out wide and your hands cushioning your forehead. You could drape your arms back alongside your legs if that's comfortable, or choose another shape, as I tend to do. Create that little bit of space for curiosity once again, feeling yourself breathe in and breathe out, and noticing a changing sensation, the places that are now a little more constrained, compressed, and those that you now have more access to expansiveness in. No point getting too attached to one way over the other because in every practice, those sensations are constantly changing. And in fact, restriction in one place might even open up space somewhere else. As you feel your breath becoming a little softer and slower, and your temperature easing back to normal, come out of your resting shape, and we'll meet up on hands and knees. If you have a block or a blanket or towel, grab it and have it nearby to potentially fit underneath your sit bones. Make sure that you can easily reach your loop of strap. And then we'll hook the right knee behind the left. Right knee tucks in behind left. Wiggle your inner thighs as closely crossed as you can. And then separate your feet out to point to the back corners of your mat. Now, the idea will be to lower our hips down to sit. For some people, the floor is a really comfortable target. I'm not one of those people, so I'm going to sit on my block. You could fold up a blanket or towel. If you've got a bigger cushion like a bolster, you could sit on the round end of it. And I do want you to feel that there is some kind of restriction through the lower body, that rather than you being open and expansive, there is this sense of slight pressure between the top knee and the bottom knee and between your two legs. But of course, if that exceeds pressure and becomes pain, you could lengthen out your bottom leg. There'll be a different sense of pressure then on the back of the leg or the bottom of the knee. Or you could keep your legs bent but take your thighs a little further apart. So, compression, a lack of space, a sense of congestion is fine, but feel free to move away from anything that doesn't feel right for you today. So, Gomukhasana legs. Grab the strap in your right hand and reach your right arm up toward the ceiling. And then bend your elbow so that your strap is dangling down behind you, parallel with your spine. Reach your left fingertips down toward the floor. Reach your left fingertips down toward the floor. And then bend your left elbow and find your strap or belt. And start to wiggle your hands towards each other. Now, if you can really easily clasp hands without the strap, feel free to drop it and link your fingers. But again, what I want you to feel here is that the bottom hand is pulling the top hand down, and the top hand is pulling the bottom hand up. So, this sense of connection between them, the line of tension that they create, is the pose. Not necessarily the most free or spacious, but still brings up some interesting information. And if you find that your right forearm is kind of pushing you forward, create a little contact between the back of your head and your right forearm to resist back. Now, you may or may not feel a really juicy stretch here. For today, I really want you to get curious about the places that feel expansive and spacious, and the places where you're aware of restriction, limitation, congestion, compression. And again, see if you can practice noticing both without assigning judgment or telling yourself a story. Feel free to close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, or to take a soft, broad, unfocused gaze to really let you tune into some of the more subtle signals that you receive, especially when you let go of the need for a shape to look like something from the outside and you're more interested on how it feels on the inside. And the last couple of easy breaths with the arms in place. And then start to slide your left hand away from your right, down your strap until you can release the left arm and curl the right arm from overhead. Feel the rush of warmth and blood and circulation to the spaces that were compressed. And then you've got two options from here. Option one is to tip forward from the hips, maybe leaning your torso on your top leg or bracing yourself on your hands so that the emphasis of the spacious sensation shifts to around the back of the body and the feelings of compression or congestion shift to the front. That's option one. Option two is to lean back instead onto your fists or fingertips and then scoop your belly or tuck your tail so that the sense of space or stretch or openness is on the front of the body and there's a little less space on the back. So choose your option. And again, either close your eyes or soften your gaze. And give yourself a couple of relaxed breaths there to feel the shifting tide of sensation, letting the landscape ebb and flow and change through the course of practice rather than getting attached to things being one particular way. Take a last cycle of breath here. And then, whether you're hinging forward or tilting back, make your way to center. Notice which leg you've got on top. For most of us, it'll be the left, but if you're on the opposite side, just remember to swap in a moment. And then push down through the tops of the feet to lift you back out of your seat into that cross legged all fours. And then untuck your right knee from behind your left. Reach your feet out toward the back corners of the mat and then lower yourself down to lie prone, either with your arms draped by your sides or your bent elbows out wide and your hands stacked as a cushion for your head. Give yourself just a couple of breaths to feel that rebound, to feel the tides turn. And some of the places that were closed off or shut down rebound into space. And some of the areas that were stretched or expanded, rebounding back to something approaching neutral. And when you're ready to move on, set your hands under your shoulders, tone your belly to make you a little lighter as you push back up to all fours. We're going to cross the legs, this time with the left knee behind the right, left knee behind the right, unless you're on the opposite leg. Point your toes out toward the back corners of your mat. Wiggle your inner thighs as closely crossed as you can, and then lower your hips down to prop or floor. And it might take a little wiggling. It certainly does for my legs with all this muscle mass to get that sense of compression, to kind of feel the top knee really working against the bottom knee and the inner thighs driven close to each other. And again, that feeling of compression or restriction is what we're looking for today. But if you're in any pain, if you get the sense that this is wrong for you, remember you can lengthen out the bottom leg or keep both knees bent and take them wider apart. In fact, you could take any legs you like to make this work for you. One way or another, make peace with your foundation. Strap in your left hand this time, left arm reaches up toward the ceiling, and then bend your elbow and let your strap hang down parallel to your spine. Right fingertips toward the floor, bend your elbow, start to slide the back of the right hand up the back of your body until you find your strap. And then today, really use that connection, either the hands to the strap or the hands to each other if you have that range in your shoulders today, to create a sense of really active resistance. So the bottom hand is pulling the top hand down the back at the same time that the top hand is pulling the bottom hand up the back. This kind of dynamic tension that might bring up slightly different or novel sensation here. And again, if your left elbow is pushing you forward, create a little bit of active engagement between the back of your head and your left elbow or forearm or upper arm, depending on where your arm's situated in space. For me, this is definitely not the most restful or relaxing shape. It's definitely not the freest, the easiest, the most spacious, but it does allow me to gather a lot of really interesting information from parts of me that are pretty tight or tense or kind of undervisited, less familiar. So even if this isn't your favorite shape, see if you can lean into the wonder of just getting curious about how it feels, as opposed to attaching labels to those feelings like good or bad, right or wrong. Take a final relaxed breath with the arms in place. And start with the right hand, let it slide down toward the floor. Once that pressure is off, you can unwind the left arm, maybe give the shoulders a little circle or shift or shimmy, and then choose whether you want to hinge forward or whether you want to tilt back. Again, choose the option that isn't necessarily the biggest or deepest or juiciest stretch, but the one that allows you to examine some new inputs, some new information. Take a last relaxed breath here. And then wherever you took your torso, ease it back to center. Create some downward pressure through your feet to get a little lighter on your hips. Move forward through hands and knees and then uncross your legs. Point your toes out toward the back corners of the mat. One more time, lower down to lie prone and find a relaxed rebound shape here. That rush of fresh new life back into the regions that were constrained. And the regions that were stretching, that rubber band rebound. You might even feel here with your chest and abdomen slightly constrained by the floor. Your breath moving just a little more easily in your back ribs and down around your kidneys. And then once again, set your hands under your shoulders. Tone the front of your body to help you lift up away from the mat. And this time, come through all fours to swing your feet off to one side. Bring your sit bones to the mat. And then stretch your legs out in front of you. Now we're heading towards Shavasana. So if you just want to go there, stretch out, take up some space, be my guest. But I'm going to give you one more option in Shavasana to create a little bit of restriction in the hope that perhaps you feel a sense of space there. So you would use your strap hips width apart, a block or towel nestled in between your thighs, and your strap around your legs, around your thighs, just above your knees. Now I'm going to use the bolster to put a little break in my knees to kind of soften up my hip flexors and my low back. Some people are comfortable with the legs outstretched, but I think most people here feel better with a little support under the backs of the knees. So you could roll up the bottom third or the bottom half of your mat. And then make sure that the buckle isn't against your skin, is somewhere against the blanket or towel. Pull it really taut so that you're able to relax your legs against that boundary, that they can actually lean out into that sensation of being held, and all of the muscles that would normally hold your legs in position can take a break. So block in between thighs or blanket or towel, strap around thighs just above knees, a break, some support at the backs of the knees, and then unroll down to lie on your back. Take as much time as you like to get comfortable here. Maybe to walk your shoulder blades a little further down beneath you, or to walk your heels or your sit bones a little further away from you. But once you've found a shape that's generally comfortable, let go completely. Let your bones get heavy. Let your muscles drape soft. And especially those powerful muscles of the legs, lean into the support of the shape, the structure that you've created from your props. So that the same way that boundaries can create more freedom in relationships, the boundaries created by your props can create a little more freedom for your body. Let your breath arrive and depart, allowing both body and mind to take rest. Now, ever so gently bring your attention back to the experience of breathing, noticing the effortlessness of simply allowing your breath to come and go as it chooses. And as you next breathe out, mentally gather in through the midsection of the body and use that extra little bit of strength to start inching your heels a little closer to your sit bones, finding a deeper bend through your knees. And hopefully, you can find a place that you can rest, perhaps with your feet mat width apart and your knees leaning against that block or blanket or towel. When you feel ready to move on, decide which side you're going to roll to. Either side is fine. Take that arm overhead so that it's ready to be a cushion for your ear or cheek, and then roll onto that side. You can let your bent knees curl up towards your torso, maybe even close enough that you can reach down with one hand to loosen your strap or to slide it off completely. And then guide your top hand down to the floor in front of you. Lengthen out your top leg and use that to help you find your way up to a final upright seat. Now, take a moment in that final seat to notice the space that you created by acting as an observer. Rather than filling the space between experience and response with judgment, assigning value, telling yourself stories, allowing room there for simple curiosity instead. And I will leave you today with the words of composer W.A. Matthew, who said, "Restriction will set you free." Finish with your hands in prayer, your thumbs at your heart. Bow your chin to acknowledge your practice and any insights gained there. And then let it go. Open your eyes or refocus your gaze. And I leave you with my thanks for your presence and your practice today. Thank you all so much for joining me today. As always, if you have any feedback to give, any comments to make, any questions to ask, you are welcome to jump into the chat. But if you are snugly ensconced in Shavasana and want to stay put, that's great too. I'm pretty easy to find if you want to catch up with me. Thank you, and I will see you next time.